What's up, people? I am back. Sorry I'm doing this video really late, but um, I was really sore yesterday, so I just was not in the video making mood. But I figure I'll do this one now, and then later, today, I'll be doing another Christmas movie. We're gonna actually review the good Grinch movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version, which I really like. I'll admit has been a little bit, but I've always liked it. It's not the best movie, but I do think it's a fun adaptation. So I'll be watching that one later. But today, or right now, technically it's supposed to be yesterday, but it is what it is. I am reviewing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. In my opinion, it's probably gonna be the title of the video. Probably the only truly great horror remake. I'm not counting The Thing, because to me, The Thing isn't like a remake. Let's say like fucking This Is, or like the Friday the 13th one was. Like, so I don't really count The Thing, like, because if I had to say, yeah, The Thing's probably the best remake ever. But if we're going just horror remake, this is probably the best one in my opinion. I think it got everything right. It got the aesthetic right of the original, but it's like they modernized it a little bit, but they didn't modernize it too much. I still think they have that, like, because one thing about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think what makes it creepy is it has a snuff feel. Like, it feels real. Like, this is actually happening. And I think they did a good job with that. Even you got, like, the opening, and probably my favorite part of the whole film, besides, like, the whole thing, but the ending, where Leatherface, like, you have, like, this video camera, black and white, because, like, these two cops coming to the house, and then you see Leatherface kill them, and you get this, like, creepy shot of Leatherface. And I think that's the one thing, too. Of all the films, I would probably say Leatherface is probably at his most scariest in this one. Leatherface is a fucking beast in this one. I love his look. I love the mask. Especially considering we had trainee Leatherface last film. So it's kind of nice to see Leatherface just back to being scary. But not just him. The Sawyers all around, like Sheriff Hoyt, who that's Arlie Erm, in my opinion, he's the VIP of this movie. He is so fucking creepy. He really, every scene he's in, you feel like, and I'm not usually scared of anything, but I'm like, dude, this dude's creepy. Like, he really does a good job at playing, like, evil. But even, like, Henrietta, that crackhead-looking lady, like, you have these, like, weird-ass looking people. I'm like, they did a really good job of Cat being weird. I think that is the thing that you need with the Sawyers, is that. What's unfortunate, though? It's, like, sad with Texas Chainsaw. They should have probably did a sequel to this movie. Because, in my opinion, this was the direction to go, and they didn't. They did, like, the beginning, which I'll admit, I don't really remember. I'm watching that one, I think not next Wednesday. I think I'm going to be doing videos, but there's not going to be a lot of reviews, because I figure since we're getting close to the end of the year, and I already have pretty much mostly, I've seen all the movies I needed to see. So next week, I'll just side point really quick. Next week, there will be some reviews. Like, I'm still going to do It Man 4 so we can finish that out. But there's going to be a lot of, actually, no, I might still do one review. I might try to get Jingle All the Way maybe done next week, or maybe I'll wait till we get closer to Christmas. We'll see. But I got a lot of, I'm going to do, on Monday, I'm going to do 10 worst. It might be 10. I might change it to, like, either 9 or 7 if I can't think of 10. But worst movies of 2022. Then Tuesday, It Man 4. But then I'm thinking next Wednesday. Okay, so next Wednesday will be another day. I'm gonna still do so I'm gonna do 2 reviews next week. It Man 4 and The Last Airbender, because I do want to rip that one anyway, asshole. But the rest of the week, I got Thursday, I'm doing best horror movies of 2022. Because I think I can think of, if not 10, I can think of a couple. And then Friday, best films in general, so, of 2022. But back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This movie, they did, like, everything right. Like, the aesthetic. Jessica Biel as Erin, I thought was a really good final girl. I actually, personally, am going to say it, unpopular opinion, I think she's better than Sally from the first one. if I had to say the weakest thing about the first Texas is kind of the characters, and that's fine because it's more about the Sawyers and the Leatherface. I understand, but I do feel like this thing. One, I'll say the one thing it does beat the remake, the original, in my opinion, is I think it does have better characters. Not just Aaron. I like Kemper, her boyfriend. I thought was a decent character. Morgan and Levi, I think was the other guy. Thought he was fine. Like, I thought all the characters were decent. So basically, they're going. They're trying to go to a Leonard Skinner concert. They're coming back from Mexico, and they end up picking up this freaked out girl who says a Batman's trying to get, which is Leatherface. And the thing about this movie too, it gets going like pretty quick. Because after this point, yeah, she kills herself, and then this is where we learn of Sheriff Hoyt, and then they find the house, and yeah, it gets going. And then throughout the film, you just see these creepy people. This creepy family. I think they really did a good job. There's one thing the hitchhiker was mentioning is that her baby was missing, and then we find out that her baby was kidnapped by this crazy family, and then, yeah, Leatherface starts killing people. That's basically the story. But it's simple. The music was good. I think Leatherface, in my opinion, he's at his best in this movie. I think he is, and I actually like he doesn't make a lot of noise. I actually think that's the one thing about this one I kind of prefer. I kind of like that he's kind of silent. I don't know if they're to make him like Michael Myers or Jason in this specifically, but I have a feeling they probably told him keep him silent because I think it makes it creepier a little bit. And yeah, let Sheriff Hoyt be the guy who talks shit, and I thought he did a really good job. Arlie Ermy always does a great job, but yeah, man, he was fucking. I love him in Full Metal Jacket, but this is definitely probably one of my favorite roles of his. If you had to ask me, underrated Arlie Ermy role, it is this one, Sheriff Hoyt from this movie, because he is fucking creepy, man. Every scene, he's creepy. So, but yeah. Overall, if I have to give this movie a rating, I'm thinking I'm sitting at a 9 out of 10, 9.5. I think this one's the perfect remake. This is how you do it. If you want to remake a horror movie, this is how you do it. So, unfortunately, it sucks that they should have just did a sequel, because I even think the way this ends, you could do a sequel. But they decided to do a prequel. I'll admit, I don't really remember it, so maybe it might be decent, but you would have been better off. But this is where they should have, in my opinion, if you wanted to continue the franchise, should have continued it from this one. This one is, most people who I've talked to about this movie really like it, especially in the horror, fandom. Most people really like this one. So it's why didn't you just do a follow-up? I mean, they did, but it's a prequel. Okay, then they should have did a sequel, then do a sequel. I don't understand. They try to basically reboot it again with a shitty Texas Chainsaw. I'm going to eventually get to that one. But yeah, it's... anyway. So, but besides that, I'm going to get started here. And Grinch review later. So, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the actual good one. But, yeah. And I love sorry. In the original, you get that guy talking about happened in 1973, and in the case of Leatherface, which I really love. So this is where we're introduced to our survivors, our victims, basically. Aaron, her boyfriend Kemper, Morgan, who's essentially she's probably like the dumb. She's not blonde, but she's like the dumb hot girl trope kind of deal. And they're coming back from a Leonard Skinner concert, which that was cool. They bought some weed in Mexico and they're heading through Texas. They pick up this hitchhiker, and so that's the one thing they do change. It's like in the original, the reason Sally and her brother went out because they were looking for I think their grandfather. That's one thing they did change, and it makes sense, it still works. So they pick her up. She starts freaking out and saying she was in danger, that a bad man was trying to get her, and that her baby was kidnapped. And then she pulls a gun out of her legs and shoots herself. That scene is crazy. Like the thing about this movie too, the violence it hits hard. Like, because in the original, there's violence, but it's not a lot. In this one, they definitely amp it up, and it's hard. Like, there's a scene where I think her friend Kemper, or the other guy friend, I think Levi, I think is his name, he gets like his leg chopped off. It's like, bro, like the violence goes hard, man. It goes hard. Like, so after that, they freak out. They go into town. One of someone working at I'm assuming it's like a liquor store or some diner, tells them about Sheriff Hoyt. And that's where we get our first mention. And this is where, kind of like in the original, they find the house, and the family tells them that Hoyt's not around. So then I'm just gonna jump ahead a little bit. And so they go to the house, and then they end up getting it. While looking for Aaron, Kemper, this is where we get our first look at Leatherface. And I really love his look in this movie. Like, to me, when I think Leatherface design, it is this movie. I'm not gonna front. I really love the design. Don't get me wrong, I love the original, especially the suit. I think the one where he's in the suit is fucking creepy. But just something about this Leatherface look in this it just works. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he ends up killing Kemper. Then this is where he gets going quick, because not long after this is where Leatherface attacks the group, and they all basically, Morgan gets killed. Oh no, he gets impaled on a hook. Yeah, he gets taken. Oh yeah, because that was the scene. Yeah, he and Aaron run away from Leatherface, and then Leatherface, I think it was Morgan, actually, I got the name wrong. Because Morgan was the dude. The girl, I'll admit the other girl, I don't really remember her name. But he gets his leg chopped off, and then Leatherface takes him and hooks him on a hook, and even puts like salt on his wounds. It's like, bro, man, like the violence will hit hard. Like, so if I were to say if you're queasy, I would probably say not watch this one. Like, even the original, I'd almost say don't watch, but this one, like, the violence is crazy. So, because there's a scene, too, where Leatherface cuts a dude's groin, which is a little bit later, and then he injures him. Even the scene he injures himself with the chainsaw, it's kind of fucking a little bit violent. So, yeah. This is where I think Hoyt's introduced, because he sees weed on Aaron's dashboard in her car, and they force her. And at this point, she realizes that there's something up with this dude. Tries to shoot him, but his gun's jammed, so we get a chase. Another Leatherface chase. She runs into the woods, and she finds an RV with these two creepy girls. One of them is named Henrietta, and I think the other one is T-Lady, I think that's what she's called. And this is where we get the reveal that they're actually the ones who took the hitchhiker's baby, and they're actually working with Leatherface, so they drug her drink. And this is where basically we see the Sawyers, and yeah, man. One thing about this film, and I've always said, and that's one reason I really hated this newer one that came out this year. The Sawyers are what make these movies. Like, Leatherface, I'm sorry, it's just not an interesting character enough on his own. So that's why you have the Sawyers around him. Because, to me, if anything, they're almost more batshit than him. Like, like this one, especially, like, you have Sheriff Hoyt, but you also have, like, Henrietta, man, when you first saw her, like they really did a good job with every Sawyer. Even like the creepy kid Jebediah, who actually turns out to be good. But even he's creepy. Like literally every fucking Sawyer is fucking creepy. And they really did a good job with that. But they basically are, I'm assuming this would be Leatherface's mother. Talks about how Leatherface was basically made fun of. She said basically like by people like her because her son was deformed, which I'll admit my only thing with that is like, okay, now you're just ripping off Friday the 13th. Like, I know Leatherface came first, I get it, but come on. Getting picked on for being deformed, that's Jason. That's Jason's backstory. I don't remember Leatherface being like, yeah, he's deformed, but I don't I think they should have just stuck. That's the one thing you didn't need to add like he was deformed and he was made fun of for that. You're just gonna be looked, okay, now you're just ripping off Friday the 13th. But so Erin manages to escape. She goes downstairs and finds her friend Morgan. And she tries to get him out, but he ends up getting hooked. He's basically hooked on it's a trap because she tries to get him out, but then she ends up just getting hooked again. So she basically is forced to kill him. She finds her other friend tied up and she manages to get him out. And then Leatherface chases them again and we get a big chase for a little bit. And the chase scenes in this movie are very well done. The music's right. You got the rain. You got Erin just all, and it's not just because I think it's hot, obviously, but it's just a nice shot. Like she's all fucking covered in rain, running away from this serial killer. It works, great chase scene. Morgan ends up getting killed. Or her friend that she helps nearly escape gets killed. He chases her in, I'm assuming it's like a slaughterhouse-like area. And, this is where Leatherface, she manages to wound him with a cleaver, but he also injures himself with a chainsaw. And even that scene, it looked like, I don't know if he cut, like, a little bit of flesh out, but, like, when he did that, yeah, like, it was more than blood just came out. I'm like, God damn, man. They're not holding back on the violence. So, oh yeah, I should have mentioned that girl that Erin was with was killed. She was killed pretty brutally too. She was like just like sliced in half. It's like, God damn. Like, that's the thing about movies like this. Like, the violence is intense, man. Like, and I think that's the thing going in with this one. Just expect everything about this movie is intense. Even the chase scenes. Erin tries to flag down one car, but the car initially ignores her, but she manages to flag down a truck, but the trucker takes, because he notices a police car, but it's Hoyt's police car, so he ends up taking her back to that area. Then I'm assuming he gets killed off screen. I don't really think I'll admit, they don't really address that. I'm assuming he gets killed by one of the Sawyers. Then she manages to take the baby back, the kidnapped baby. Then she gets into the trucker's truck. Hoyt tries to chase her, but she manages to kill him and rip Arlie Ermey. But yeah, he is so good in this. Like, every scene he's in, he is fucking creepy. In my opinion, I think he's creepier than Leatherface in moments in this movie. It's just like he does a really good job. So yeah, he ends up getting killed. Leatherface tries to chase her off, but she manages to escape. So kind of like in the original type of deal, they escape, and then Leatherface is like screaming, all angry. I think that's the only time you really hear him make noise. So after that, we jump ahead 2 days later. We see an officer in like filming, which I really love this scene. The black and white, because to be fair, this is still in that like era of like, this is not long after like Blair Witch, a couple years of the Blair Witch. So like you had like the filming movies where you're filming it with like actual camera. And then officer, I think it was another officer there too, gets killed by Leatherface. And that shot, man, where you see them get killed, and then you just see Leatherface, and it's like all black and a little distorted, so you kind of can tell it's his mask, but you can't. And then you hear like a news report say the story is still open, and I fucking love it because it makes it feel real. Like it actually feels real. Like that part of the film, like, oh, this is actually happening. So yeah, after he kills the, and I actually like that Leatherface didn't get. That's what kind of bothers me. Why they never did a sequel? It's like because Leatherface gets beat, but he doesn't die. He gets like she manages to escape. You could have. I don't know. Anyway, this movie is awesome. Easily the best horror remake of that era, I would say for sure. Especially between like the big. I guess I would say Leatherface is like fourth after the big three between Michael, Jason, and Freddy. So, of the big four at that time, I would definitely say his remake's the best. And just everything about it. Leatherface was scary. They got Leatherface right. The aesthetic, the Sawyers, Sheriff Hoyt. Um, Lead was, Aaron was a pretty good character throughout the film. You know, yeah, she doesn't, they don't go into her backstory or anything, but she's a simple character. She does everything right. That makes a good final girl, in my opinion. Obviously, I don't admit she's hot, but she's also a good character. The other characters are decent. You know, they're not great, but they're decent. They hold the movie decently, and the kills are fucking crazy. And that ending kill is probably my favorite, just because of like that. It makes it feel so fucking real. Like it had that like they did that right, you know. And then that shot of Leatherface, man, is so creepy. Like it's all distorted because it's like because the video's like black and white, so it's not in color. So it's just yeah, they really did a good job with this movie. So everything about it. That's why I'm mad it didn't get a sequel. They did a prequel, and I said I don't really remember that one that much, so I might like it. We'll see, but I just would have rather them just did a sequel because it's even open. Like it's left open for one thing. When they said the case is still open, like you could easily have did a sequel to this one. This one's universally praised. That's why I'm like weirded out they didn't do a sequel. They decided to do a prequel for some reason. But overall, awesome film. Everything about it, the cast, the aesthetic, the gore. I think this film is probably Leatherface at his best, in my opinion. Probably my favorite version of Leatherface. And in my opinion, really the last good Texas movie. We'll see about the beginning, but then I remember after that, because I think after the beginning is that awful 2013 one, Texas Chainsaw, that the timeline doesn't make sense. Leatherface was, I remember, being pretty bad in it. You had fucking Trey Songz in there. That, in my opinion, one of the worst horror movie endings ever made. Like, and I'll get to that one, but yeah. And yeah, so pretty much after that, and then you have that really awful one that came out this year. So it's like, really, this one, in my opinion, is the last good one. So, awesome horror flick. Easily the best horror remake of that time. So, but besides that, How the Grinch Stole Christmas review later today. I'll actually try to make sure it gets out today for sure. But, yeah, man, I haven't watched that movie in a while, but I remember always loving it. Jim Carrey he's always such a good character actor. So that's why I thought he's a great pick to be the Grinch at the time. Because he's always been, and I also think, when I think Grinch designed, it's that one. I'm just going to be honest. So, but as usual, I'm going to talk to y'all tomorrow, or later tonight, sorry. But, I'm going to peace out here. As usual. Fuck Biden. Fuck Kamala. I'll talk to y'all later today. Watch the Texas Chainsaw remake if you haven't. Talk to y'all later.